everybody. How are we doing tonight? This is your host, Odd Job Entertainment. Adjusting the microphone. There's always got to be something going on at the start of the stream that I don't have set up properly. But looks like I'm coming through. That's good. Great. So, let me do a quick sound check. Make sure that I am, in fact, broadcasting. Hey, Draconis! Maybe you can just tell me. Can you hear me? How's the audio sound? Maybe not. All right, let's double check. Okay, all right, cool. He says yep. Okay, awesome. So, let's see. Let's actually pull up the Discord, because one of the things that we are very proud of here on the channel are these triple action joysticks that we made for the VKB Gladiator NXT Evos. Good gravy. They could do with shortening that name, couldn't they? But not everybody has a 3D printer. That's fine. I don't expect you to. I have tried to make a system, though, that... Oh, it's Morris Direct. Oh, yeah, that is weird. I don't know why it's showing up that way. Welcome back, Morris. I know who you are. But we did try to make a system so that people would be able to get their hands on it. And that is by going to the supplier channel. Morris actually happens to be one of the suppliers. And so if you don't have a 3D printer, or even if you just don't want to have to deal with it, you can reach out to anyone that gets added to the suppliers channel here on the Discord to be able to get them yourself. Now, I am going to pull up Morris's page here, because he is selling the VKB Gladiator mods that I produced, and it was going through this that I saw some feedback that I want to try to address. Well made and fits as described, but it wasn't for me. Great way to isolate the secondary trigger. However, the issue I kept running into is it made it cumbersome to use my index finger for anything else. Basically, if you keep your index in the trigger guard area and don't use it for anything else, this should be fine. Otherwise, you'll find it blocks off using your index for anything else. I also thought both the primary and secondary trigger felt less tactile and had a weaker reset, even when playing around with different spring strengths. Then again, we're talking about a flight stick, not G-Money. Oh, I think maybe they meant to be... let's see, what symbol is that? Maybe a G4? Is a G4 a type of jet? Customer service was great. That's on Morris. Seller was nice enough to send me extra triggers because I wanted to try different textures on it. All right, great. Most people really like them. But I do want to try to do something about this less tactile and weaker reset. And I think what he may be talking about with some of the cumbersome nature of the index trigger area, or index finger area, is if you look at how this changes the volume that your index finger sits in, it does close it off a little bit. So the ideal solution will be to open this up a bit more and improve the tactile response of the trigger. So let's pull up now Onshape and take a look at how it currently works and see if we can't figure out a solution that will work a little better. So this is the most up-to-date version. And when you are installing these, look, It's all labeled and everything. What a nice looking model, if I do say so myself. But when you install these, you reuse the original spring from the joystick, and it goes onto this nubbin here and sits on top of the default primary trigger switch. And when you pull back on this yellow portion, it increases the tension on that spring to the point where you reach the breaking point, and then it activates the switch. And then if you keep pushing, the original trigger also has the same kind of foot here that will physically press the secondary trigger button. So that's how the standard trigger operates. That part is no different. The difference is now we have this gray section which is allowed to move separately from the yellow piece, and it's held forward by a spring here between the yellow and the gray piece. And all that spring is really doing is holding it in the forward position. And it's in that vein that I think we might be able to get something a little better I think we can make it so it's better for the tactile response, because what I want to do is I want to avoid having these parts interfere with each other. But in the normal actuation, it gets pulled along with the yellow trigger, but you can activate it separately. So let me grab one of the donor sticks under my desk. Right back. Oh, looks like we got some more people in chat. Welcome. Happy to have you all here. All right, so if you look inside the joystick here, you can see, might be too dark, but there is two identical switches. They both have a red top, just like, come on, it was showing it real good, just like that, right? So that red top is one of the buttons, and there's one identical to it just below. Oh, actually, the screws are already off on this one, so that makes it real easy. There we go. So those two red switches, these are actually your triggers. And whatever we do, we need to make a system that doesn't reduce the response you get from those triggers. And I think a way to do that is to switch which button is the outside versus the inside sleeve of the current design. And I'm trying to take a look at this and see if there's any other areas I might be able to get some more space to work with. And maybe there's something I can do with this doodad here. I'm gonna pull out my flathead screwdriver to use as a little pry tool. kind of stiff. It doesn't really want to come out. Okay. Oh, I know why. Durr. Alright, I will be right back. I'm going to go grab my precision screwdriver set. I should have had that with me to start, but you live and you learn. Alright, precision screwdriver set. Looks like it got a little rusty. If you're a long-term viewer of the channel, you'll know that I live in what used to be my grandparents' home. It hasn't been very well maintained, and my roof leaks. And sometimes it gets on my tools. Super fun. Also unfortunate is we can't afford to keep this house, so I'm going to be moving somewhat soon. Probably end of this year. Probably for the best. A little bummed because we did do quite a bit of work on this house as part of the channel content. Kind of feels like a loss to have to leave, but it is what it is. You know, like the saying goes, no use crying over spilled milk, right? Mostly kind of just talking to fill the void, make this somewhat entertaining while I take this apart. So the version 2 would move around on this post here, and I think that if we combine version 3 with a redesign of this piece, this is your index trigger, or not really. I mean, they're both index triggers, right? But this is the one you get with the premium sticks. It goes both directions. It goes up and down. So I guess bidirectional trigger is a better term for it, probably. But I think if we incorporate a new design for this, we can get more space to work with for these bits. And we have an advantage there because VKB has to design their parts for injection molding, which comes with a number of limitations that you don't have with 3D printing. So we can make a very different looking part that achieves the same function, and we can bypass a lot of those limitations. But let's take a look at some of the key features here. You'll notice that on the two arms that press the button, there is a semicircular extrusion. And my prediction, or my guess, is that that is being done because it's easier to get a good contact with the button if it's a circle as opposed to a flat plane. And if I pull up Krita, we can start to get an understanding as to why that is. Okay, screen 2. There we go. All right, confirm for me real quick. Can you guys still hear me, or did the settings get screwed up on this scene? Wait, nope, wrong glove. That's my gamer glove. I need my artistic glove. This one. All right, awesome. Hey, welcome to chat, Static Zero. I haven't seen that name before. Are you new to the channel? Some schmutz on my graphics tablet here. Where did that come from? Okay, turn off. Eraser mode. Go into pen. All right, so here is our button. All right, I'll give it a black line as a backdrop so we know what direction we're supposed to be pushing. And in the first scenario, let's consider that the foot or the actuating surface that we use to press this is a flat plane. If it's misaligned, then it's going to create a contact angle. Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out live. So we stream every Friday at 7, well, usually it's 8 p.m. MST. Started a little later tonight, but yeah, happy to have you here. Thank you for your support. When you create this contact angle, sometimes there's going to be an issue when you press the button where it will be pushed off center and it won't actuate the way that you want it to. And you can kind of feel that difference if you do have a switch handy that you can tinker with. If you press it head on, it feels different than if you press it from the side. From the side, it's decidedly more mushy. And so we can take a look at the direction of these forces and figure out why that's going on. First off, we have a normal force. So that is the force being exerted by the surface. And for this scenario, it's easier to consider the actuator as the thing being acted upon, right? So this switch, it has a little spring in it, and we're going to pretend that that's the force provider. So we're going to look at it from the perspective of the foot because that's a little easier. So with that in mind, the spring creates a force that is parallel to its axis. Now, I should not use black. I want this to show up better for you guys. Let's use a blue for this. So the spring creates a force going, I need to actually change the color, going parallel to its center axis. Okay? We're going to call this Fs for force of spring. All right. Now, whenever you have a force acting on a surface, you get a reactionary force called the normal force. And the classic example of this is if you're standing on the ground, right? This is you. And because you're watching my videos, you're actually guaranteed, scientifically proven, to become more Chad-like the longer you watch my content. So your muscles are just going to naturally get bigger the longer you watch my content. So that's you in like a month, right? All right. Anywho, give you a strong chin too. Gravity is pulling down on you, and then the normal force is pushing up from the ground. This is what prevents you from falling through the ground. There's a combination of things acting to create this normal force, one of them being the intermolecular bonds between atoms in the surface that you're talking about. So in this case, we're talking about the ground. Even if it's a bunch of granules of sand, eventually the forces add up so that they all stack up to prevent you from falling through them. So that's the normal force. It's a reaction from the surface that resists the force coming towards it. And very importantly, it always acts perpendicular to the face of the surface. So if you are standing on an incline, the normal force is actually going to go off in this direction. And that will be a big part of why when you're standing on a hill, it's inherently less stable. There's a component of this force that is pushing you down the hill. We can draw a Y component and we can draw an X component. And this X component is going to be trying to influence you down the hill. Well, the same thing happens here with our actuator foot and the spring. Our normal force is going to go this way. And normal force is typically characterized by an N. And again, we can break this down into an X and a Y component. So the Y in this case is going to be parallel to our spring force, and we'll call that N sub Y. And then we'll have a X component that is N sub X. All right. This N sub X is important because this is what's going to make it feel mushy. The switch is designed to be pressed head on, and it doesn't like to be pushed off to the side. But this NX is doing exactly that. It is pushing it off to the side, which means that the switch isn't very happy. It's not moving in the direction that it was designed to move. There's also another aspect of this where we're creating a frictional force that wouldn't have existed otherwise. And you can imagine as this foot gets closer, it's going to press into the switch, and then relative to the switch, it's going to move this way just a little bit. Because, right, this is on a pivot somewhere up here. It's rotating like this, which means that all these corners are going to rotate as well. And that rotation is eventually going to move it sideways relative to the switch. And once you introduce movement between two surfaces, now you've created a frictional force. And this is going to act opposite to the movement. So we'll denote that with F sub F for frictional force. And this frictional force is calculated by n times the cosine of the angle. So we have our angle going this way, right? We could take that and we could calculate what the frictional force is going to be. And the important aspect for this is not necessarily what that value actually is, but just that it is there. All right. Now let's do a different consideration. Let's get rid of all of that. Let's go back to this lower layer. And let's instead introduce a semicircular pressing surface, right? And in the ideal scenario, you have this centered on the middle of the button. Where were you when Mitsubishi engineers tried to blame us for bending their clevis on a backlash tool instead of accepting they built a flawed piece of equipment? What can I say? I was probably still in school. How long ago was this? That's kind of funny. If you have any pictures you want to send in chat, I'd love to take a look at those. That'd be cool to review. So, a few things immediately stand out with a semicircular pressing surface. One is you have a dramatically smaller... Oops, what did I just do? There we go. You have a dramatically smaller contact patch, right? A circle, technically, has an infinitesimally small contact patch. Now, in reality, this doesn't actually hold true because, let's see, if we draw a circle, and then we zoom in, what's actually going to happen whenever you have two surfaces interact, one, you're going to have a level of deformation that's going to occur. That means that this is no longer circular. So compared to a infinitesimal contact patch on a circle, you will have a flattened section that will be a larger contact patch, right? That's one of the things that's going to happen. If we zoom in even farther, though, you'll see that there's no such thing as a perfect surface, and there's always going to be some surface defects. And those surface defects add up to create a larger contact patch as well. But for the sake of our scenario, we do have a dramatically smaller contact patch. And since the force of friction is also strongly related to the... Oh. Sorry, I lied to you a bit ago. I totally got the force of friction equation wrong. Normal force is equal to the force multiplied by the cosine of the angle made by that force. And then the force of friction is mu times the normal force. And this is a very important distinction because mu is typically calculated experimentally, and it has a number of things that influence it. One of them being the area, material 1, material 2, and anything that can modify it, like a lubricant. Is maybe material 2 is made of something with a different frictional coefficient, but it's a granule like sand, right? That's going to behave differently than like sandpaper. But importantly for our discussion, area is one of those considerations. And again, this is typically calculated experimentally. There are ways to calculate it based on an equation. I don't know how to do that. It never came up in my studies, and it's not really that important. Except to know that reducing the area will reduce the friction. So, or at least altering area will influence force of friction. I can't say that it'll always decrease it, because there's always exceptions to a statement like that. But we know that because we're still on the same kind of pivot, right, this contact patch is going to move relative to the button a little bit. So there is still going to be a frictional force, but it's going to be a much smaller frictional force compared to the first scenario. And then the other detail that we have here is, because it is a semicircle, it's much easier to get a scenario where the force being applied by it is parallel to the normal force. So that is the long-winded explanation as to why, if you take apart your consumer electronics, you will often see a semicircular channel being the actual surface that does the button activation. And you'll notice here on my design, that is not present. And that is one way that we can improve the design, is by incorporating that design detail. So let's open up a new part studio. And for my internal referencing, the version 2 that everybody knows is Mark 3, but I'm just going to rename them for consistency for the videos. So now we're going to be working on Mark 3. And first I want to get this part redesigned, because I need this to be smaller so that I have more space to work with for the primary and secondary trigger. So let me grab my calipers. They're just on the table behind me here. And first thing we're going to measure is the bore size for the center pivot. And I'm going to start by creating a table to keep track of these measurements. And in this table, I'm going to keep track of the measurements exactly how I get them from the calipers. So I'm getting a range, depending on which part of the bore that I'm measuring, between 5.06 to 5.08 millimeters. So I'm going to split the difference and call this 5.07 millimeters. And then the two actuators are almost on the same plane, but not quite. So I'm going to forego measuring those directly right now. I'm measuring the Let's call this the forward trigger. Forward trigger pivot thickness. At 4.42 millimeters. And then I'm going to create a tolerance variable. I'm going to call this point, or I'm going to declare this as 0.05 0.05 millimeters. And the reason why we need to have a tolerance on top of what we're measuring is because, try as I might, I will not be able to perfectly recreate this part with a 3D printer. So there's a couple ways to combat that. One is to build a tolerance in on the CAD side, and the other is to add physical tolerance with tools after the fact. Because I'm designing this for other people to 3D print it, I want to try and do as much as I can from CAD, because I can't rely on everybody having the same amount of tooling that I do here in my own personal shop. If I was trying to do this borehole, I would use a reamer to get it close to the exact size, to get it as close to the exact size as possible. It's a pretty good guess that this is supposed to be a 0.5 centimeter bore. But it gets a little oversized, probably from the injection molding process, or maybe that's their own built-in tolerance. But then I also want to measure the axle in here. This is a little tricky to get to, but I'm getting that at 4.97. One thing that is a little easier to measure is actually the physical location of the buttons. So maybe I will design my forward trigger based on the actual button placement instead of the actuator. So real quick, I'm going to take a picture and send this to myself. I just got my V2s in the mail a couple of days ago. I'm looking forward to V3. Hell yeah, brother. That's awesome. Have you had a chance to try them out? What do you think? Suppose the timing's a little unfortunate, but I think you'll still get a good amount of use out of your triggers before I am able to finish this. So you shouldn't feel too bad. Right, a little brittle, but they work great. I mean, that is the trade-off with most resins. They are going to be a little more brittle compared to an FDM print. That is just the nature of the beast until you get to something like a Formlabs, which is a very expensive printer. Hope we still contribute to your sister. I remember you had a charity. By the way, NBX replacements should be going... Oh, okay, cool. So, I mean, update, since I know a lot of people might not know. My sister Marin, she's the one that we did the charity for on the channel. She is doing great. The support was very much appreciated. We were able to raise $450 for her. She is now done with treatment. She had her... I think it's a... is it a 3-month or a 6-month? I'm a little fuzzy on the timeline myself. I'd have to go through my own documentation, which would not be a good thing to do on stream. But she had a update scan. She's clean. So far, there is no sign that the cancer is coming back. She is in remission, which just means that there's nothing to show, which is great news for us. So she is doing very good. She loved seeing all the support that you guys gave to the efforts with the joystick mods. That was all really great. So yeah, yeah, she's doing good. She's actually going back to school now. She's a little nervous about classes, but she's continuing on. So all good news there. Okay, let's go ahead and import that image now. And go to Documents, Design Projects. I just made this folder, TriggerBond V3. Let's pull this in. And then we can plop it in right there. So now we can create, we can center this over the origin, the pivot point, as best we can. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then we can create a circle here. And we can give this a dimension based off of what we've already measured. And then you saw the little shift in the image. It just scaled it so that everything's the correct dimension. Now, there is a proper way to take a photo like this. There's a special kind of lens that removes all the perspective distortion. At this scale, we're not going to expect that much of an impact from the perspective, so I'm not going to worry about it. But you can see that I tried to set myself up for success by getting the important faces as parallel to each other as possible, right? So this PCB, obviously we see a little more of the top side. This would not be a good reference photo for this. But for this section right here, we're looking pretty good. And we can also see the cutout. Actually, no, it's on the other side of the shell. That makes it a little fun. Okay, no, so right here is an important detail. I'm going to go ahead and mark it there. So Shift S to create a point. And then I'm going to create another one down here. And I'm not going to force a dimension myself. I'm just going to let it kind of tell me what it is, at least for now. All right, cool. Thanks, Shalag. I will take a look at that. We'll probably do it after doing a bit of design work here. But thanks. But what we're looking at here is the front lip, or at least it's kind of like a labyrinth seal. That might not be the right term for it. Tongue and groove joint, I think. No. Anywho, there is a recess on this piece, and there is a lip on this piece. And those meet together to help everything index in a nice way so that it feels more solid. If we look at this piece, we can see a little more clearly where the triggers exit the joystick. And those match up with these lips on the mating piece here. We need to take note of those because those represent one of the constraints that we need to recognize with our design. We can't go through those without having to physically modify the joystick outside of its original design. And the goal that I have, or at least one of them with these kinds of projects, is I want them to be reversible if needed, right? I don't want you to have to void your warranty doing my modifications. It should be completely reversible, no harm done to the joystick. So, I can't have you dremeling out more space. I have to figure out a way to make it work with what I got. But we're going to create another point here, and another point there. And I'm going to move these just a little, just that they're just not touching the button. And then I'm going to call this sketch good. Actually, now that I think about it, because this is a reference sketch, I don't need these. Oh wait, I do need that one, but I don't need these other dimensions. Now if I create a new sketch, I can create a circle. And I'm going to make this equal to the measured bore plus our pivot tolerance. So this was 0.512. If we look at the original, 0.507. So we're giving ourselves 0.5 millimeter more of tolerance to try and make it a little easier to print. Now we create our semicircles, and I'm using the 3-point arc mode. So you do one click to set the start, another to set the end, and then you can set your coincident mate at the same time, or coincident constraint. And if we look at the original, you can see there it's kind of an angular piece. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way, at least I don't think it does. So we can make ours a little more efficient with the material, potentially, by making it a little more organic. This is a shape that would not be very easy to injection mold. And then T for tangent. We're going to set all of our curves tangent to each other. And then I'm going to make this and the origin coincidence that this is sharing the same center point as our pivot. And then with this, we're going to set our material thickness. And from experience, 2 millimeters is a good place to start. I might not need that much, but we'll start there and see if we can reduce it. And that's going to be the safest option. So now here, I want the contact point to be as close to the center of the button as possible. So if we have these two lines here, that kind of helps us visually represent them. But I want to actually put those in this other sketch so that they don't move when I do things in the subsequent sketch. So I'm going to plop those there. And then here, I'm going to make these probably tangent first and then coincident with that point. You see it made it really small. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Why are you so small? Oh, that one's kind of obvious. So if we adjust these points a little bit, there we go. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't actually want these to be tangent with the buttons, because then there won't be any pre-travel, and that pre-travel can be helpful for us. Shift M allows you to set a point as the midpoint for a line. And then we're going to make these actually tangent with this line that's standing off. And then they are already including this point from before. So then when this semicircular section is pivoted around, it should be very close to the center of the button. Now, if we're trying to open up this area in front of the trigger as much as possible, if people had endlessly long fingers, we could put something out way out here, right? That's not very realistic. We need to still stay within the bounds of human anatomy. But I think we can still move it out a little bit farther and maybe change the shape so that it's not as close to the other trigger. And if it's more of like a diving board shape sticking out of the front of the joystick, I think we will give ourselves more space that way. So that's one of the things I wanted to try. Let's get a few constraints in here to get things a little cleaned up. I don't want these moving around so much. Get rid of this one for now. And that one's really fighting me, isn't it? Let's go again. Why are you like this? All right, let's get... Hello. Let's delete this for now. And that one, I don't know why it's fighting me. There might be a constraint that I added on accident. So let's skip it for now. Let's get one side dialed in. There we go. That's more like what I wanted. So this needs to snake under our point here. And there's not an elegant way to do that as just one curve. So I'm going to do it more. I'm going to do another one. Signing off to put the kids to bed. Thanks for your channel and work. Draconis, no rush. Okay. Thanks for hanging out, MBX. Have a good night. Set tangency there. Set a dimension. Set these equal to each other. I actually don't need that one if I do this. There we go. Same effect. So now we need to go far enough below this point that we have room to be able to press the button. So let's create a rectangle to represent the actuation point for both of our buttons. And typically it's 0.5 millimeter. We can confirm that though. If we go to something like DigiKey, you can find a similar button and just see how far the actuation distance is. Electromechanical. Switches. Push button switches probably. Let me make sure there's not another one that makes... Tactile switches probably makes more sense. Oftentimes you can find the exact switch very quickly. So, yellow column in the middle, or yellow cylinder. Probably very similar to this one. I'd bet money that these are identical. The yellow might indicate a change in cylinder height. This one looks pretty dang close. Switch travel 1/4 millimeter. So we can actually reduce it. I'm actually going to get rid of that, set it to be coincident with this one. Nope, never mind. I changed my mind. We're going to keep them separate. I'm going to make it 3.5 instead of 2.5, just to give myself a little bit of fudge factor. And then we're going to create a pair of lines there, and we're going to use these to measure the angle of rotation that we need to achieve. So 3 1/4 degree there for actuation. And how much is this one? Basically 2 1/4. What am I measuring here? We're measuring from the tangent point of our rocker arm to the predicted tangent point where the button is now actuated. So between state A and state B, what is the angular change of this pivot point? And for the bottom switch, we're getting 2 1/4 degrees. For the top switch, we're getting 3 1/4. So our design needs to allow for that much movement up and down. So to account for up, we can make this line tangent to that. And then we can set these to be slightly larger than our required angle. And then if we make If we do that, now we can guarantee that this will be able to move up enough to give us the movement that we need. We can do a similar thing for the downward movement as well. I do see a potential problem here. Wonder if you guys see it. We need to make sure that there's enough space for the button to move as well. So it looks like we were probably good, but we are cutting it a little close. There is just not a whole lot of room for this thing on the inside. And I think I'm going to break that tangency there. And I'm going to give myself a plain old straight line. And I'm going to create another curve here. I'm trying to use curves so that it will look a little more organic. Might not be helping me make my job easier here. let's maybe focus on getting the button shape we want and then bring this part up to it. So I want to extend this out a little bit. And I'm envisioning it coming quite a bit more forward than the present button is. So I want it like out in front of the nose here. So we are kind of reaching all the way around to get to that point. And those do not need to be horizontal. That's one of the ones that does kind of irritate me, that gets auto added very frequently. And I know from having done this a number of times that 1.25 centimeters is a decent feeling curvature for a trigger. So we're going to use that here. So maybe something like that. It might not be the very prettiest thing right now. They rarely are. But this should be enough to get us going for at least a first iteration. And then we can dial it down or play with some of the parameters to get something that feels better. Whoa, that did not do what I wanted it to. Okay, there's some tangencies that weren't added here. Let's fix that. I need to have enough material that it feels strong and won't break. So maybe something like that. I like where it's at right now. I'm going to stick with this. So we need to set some of these angles to kind of lock it in. I think I like that a little more, actually. Okay. Just get everything to be black so that it's nice and constrained. So now, looking at our piece, the arms that press the button, they come in the same direction, or they originate from a flat plane, and they both go out the same direction. So we can extrude this whole face by our variable that we measured earlier. Like so. And then on this face, I'm going to bring in this bit and this bit. And then I'm going to extrude these farther than everything else by five millimeters, probably. Let's go 6. One of them seems to be 6, the other seems to be 5. I don't think it'll hurt anything if I make them both 6. And whenever you have a perfect 90-degree angle, that's going to create a stress concentration. And we can take care of that right now by adding in a fillet. That's a little much. I think I like that. That depth of fillet brings it to a point where almost the entire length of the arm is reinforced, which I am a fan of that. Let's bring back sketch 1. And we need to give ourselves a little more padding for our fingers to rest on. So I'm going to bring in these. Set everything tangent to each other. And then we're going to extrude that out by a bit more. I do like the width of the default button, so I think, at least for now, I'm just going to copy that. Which would be an extension of about 7 millimeters. I'm not measuring it very carefully there, so about is all the accuracy that we were looking for at the moment. Now we've created a different kind of sharp edge. This is one that our meaty, fleshy bits don't really like. We don't like to press up against sharp corners. So let's take that away so that our meaty bits are happy. I think tangent propagation is hurting me here. Let's do it this way. Nope, doesn't like that. Let's do it like that then. This is where SolidWorks shines. The math for fillets is complex. Indeed, it is. But so I know you've mentioned this on stream before. I've had much better time with fillets in Onshape than I have with SolidWorks. SolidWorks, I feel like, has given me more issues where it doesn't want to create the fillet, where I don't feel like I struggle as much when I'm using Onshape instead. There we go. All right, so now every edge is filleted. I think this piece is looking pretty good. I think I'm ready to send this to T2Box. We're not going to have this done by tonight, but I hope that this was at least educational for showing how the process works. Next week, we will hopefully be testing this piece and then designing its sister components, the new primary and secondary triggers. And hopefully this allows us to give ourselves more space to work with. That might come in the way of shrinking down the thickness of this hub so that we have more width to work with. If we do shrink down the width here, we can, because we're doing a 3D printed assembly, we can add another hub over here on the other side to reinforce it, and we can still get a strong part that way that accommodates our other assemblies a little more nicely. But that's where we're going to leave it here. We're going to leave it here for the design stage. And let's just do some file tidying. I'm going to put all of this into a folder. And then let's export this as a 3MF. Right? What was the trick we learned last time? I think if we're just doing a single part, I don't think we need to really worry about anything. So let's pull that out as a 3MF. Let's crack open T2Box. I use Autodesk Inventor, makers of Fusion 360, far worse than SolidWorks making fillet. Um, I don't have as much experience with Inventor. Most of my experience is going to be with Fusion, SolidWorks, and Onshape. Of the three, I like Onshape the very most. Fusion has some really nice advantages for the UI, but it is a little lacking in other aspects. I think the UI is nicer. SolidWorks, by comparison, I think feels a little dated. That's right. That's what it was. So we need to open this in Orca. That's right. Okay. It's such a weird process. You open it in Orca. All you do is you open it and then you save it, and then it'll be fine. SolidWorks, I think, has the worst UI, especially when you consider how quickly you can work if you know things like keyboard shortcuts. I really like how quickly I'm able to get things done in Onshape, for instance, just knowing the keyboard shortcuts. SolidWorks doesn't have any of that natively unless you do a lot of configuring yourself. And Fusion 360 has kind of the same advantage. The keyboard shortcuts, if you learn those, man, you're Lightning McQueen. SolidWorks, it leaves you hanging a little bit. So, considering our rules of 3D printing in resin, this is an okay orientation, but I think we will have more success if we tip this up a little bit. And that's going to move these supports to be more on this part of the trigger as opposed to the bottom. I think we're going to be more likely to feel them if they're anywhere along here, so I want to avoid that if possible and have it be more in the areas where my meaty bits won't touch them. So I think this is probably a okay orientation. How many of your viewers do you think use resin printers? Well, I know of at least one. That's Morris Direct here in chat. I don't think a lot of them do use resin printers. I use them more because they do allow you to get exceptional degrees of dimensional accuracy if you have it set up well. But FDM is definitely more common. And then let's see what auto support does. Okay, see, that is exactly what I want. These supports, I think, will be easy to manage for post-processing. We've got a little bit here inside of our bore. We've got some on areas that our meaty bits won't be able to access, so we won't get poked by any supports being left behind. This looks pretty good to me. So now let's go ahead and slice this. And again, this is one of the things that has really improved with the newest version of Chitubox. Done. So fast. Something as simple as this used to take literal minutes to process. I'm just blown away by how much faster. In that orientation, would layer lines be an issue? I think in general, layer lines are probably in regard to strength. For a first prototype, I think no, but you do bring up a good point. Let's see if we can't figure out something better. So anytime you're trying to balance the strength, you want the layers to go perpendicular to your force. So what that looks like, I clear these. Okay, and we go back to prepare. And then we I mean, if I click orient, we can see what it does by default. It's going to kind of tilt it. I want to push that side tilt more though. Something like that. And what are we accomplishing there? If we bring this cross-section tool down, you can see how large this section is as opposed to this. So something like this is going to be more advantageous for strength. Ideally, you would want layer line sine of 30 off your force axis. I mean, yeah. Or sine 45. That's essentially what we've got here. What I'm saying by perpendicular is I want the force. I'm talking about perpendicular this way. So it's a little tough to explain. I don't think I am explaining it the very best way. But again, if we're like this, it's a very small cross section, so that's going to experience a lot more stress for the same amount of force. When we bump it out this way, we've got a lot bigger cross section for that same force being applied. So I think that this is probably a pretty good orientation. I'm happy with this one. Let's send it. So let's redo the supports. This is a little more troublesome for where it puts the supports because our finger is going to wrap around this side. But I also think that this will be fairly easy to sand, so it won't be too big of an issue. If I lean it the other way, it's going to be more difficult to sand over here. So I'm going to leave it like this and call that good. Yeah, nothing that sandpaper can't fix. But you always want to reduce your required post-processing. Post-processing sucks. So if you can make it 0, 0 is better, but a little bit is better than a lot. And then it's always good to run through your slice and make sure that there's no dramatic changes from layer to layer in respective area. And it looks like everything is pretty good here. There might be some warping in this area. This seems to be where there's the largest change from layer to layer in total area. So if there were going to be an issue, I think it's going to happen here. But I think we'll still be okay. Let's go ahead and send that. And I don't think we had these on display last time, but I did get around to finishing the convex versions of our joystick covers. And I do really like this one with the patterned rings, the concentric rings. I have that as my mini analog stick. And I've been a big fan of that one. So this is the sander Mr. Aero Capital Fella is saying he uses for small parts. I have been looking for something like this, or something that I could use for small parts. I haven't seen this one. Let's take a look at take a look at this. Not sponsored. So do these heads come with sandpaper already attached to them, or does it like come with sandpaper that you attach? How does this work? Oh, yeah, there you go. Self-adhesive sandpaper. Looks like you get a variety of grits. So that's good. Are the heads like, are the sanding papers like single use then? If it's an adhesive, or can you re-stick these? Like, I mean, I know eventually you have to toss them. Single use. Okay, what about like replacement papers then? Do they also have that? I don't know, Arrow. Says it's not. Says it's unimpressive at best. It's too weak, Arrow. What are you trying to get me to buy? What kind of crap is this? I mean, for 49 bucks, you're not really expecting a whole lot. Resin is pretty soft, so I would predict that you would, if all you're doing is sanding off supports, these probably last a really long time. For the kinds of things I do, I probably don't see too much of a use for the higher grits. I'd probably mostly just be using the 180 grit. So I'll think about it. I'll probably end up getting it. I'll go ahead and add that to my list. I can't remember if I cleaned off my printer or not. I think there might be some bits here. So maybe I'm going to play it safe and not start this yet. It's been sent to the printer. Just in case it does anything funny, I'll save it. The heck? Why isn't it? Wasn't letting me type. That was weird. Can I type? Goodness. So we'll close that for now. I did just change this. Come on. Sure. Fine. Let's just save it there. And between now and next week, I will have printed and processed this. Next week, there will not be a stream, though. Next week, I will be leaving on the 31st to go to Mexico. Going on my first cruise. Never been on one before. Been saving up for this for a while now. Pretty excited, but I'll be gone for the week after. So don't rob my house if you have somehow figured out where I live through our parasocial relationship. But yeah, I'm really excited. But I won't be here. So there will be no stream next Friday. Expect to spend a ton on booze? No, actually, I do not drink, so I don't have to worry about that at all. You'd be amazed how much money I save that way. Instead, I spend it all on Baja Blast and designer sodas from Swig and Sodalicious. So I'm not that much farther ahead. But I don't lose it to alcohol. I'm just going to reattach this button on the joystick so that the screw that it uses doesn't get lost. Why not just cruise on your own 890 jump? Because that's not a real experience. Schlog. Come on. Between my wife and I, we spend around $1,000 per week on a cruise on alcohol and extras like pedicures. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And see, I was grumpy when I found out that there was a mandatory gratuity. Right? Like, we're talking $80 extra for the gratuity on top of the ticket price. And look, I have been in the service industry. I believe that people in the service industry deserve a fair wage, which is why I paid for a $700 ticket. So the fact that there is a mandatory gratuity on top of that, why isn't the cruise line paying their wage? Why am I doing that? I paid for a $700 ticket. And then I guess you're supposed to like expect to have cash on you to give tips to people that are helping you. And again, you know, I'm all about people getting a fair wage. That's not the complaint. But I didn't want to have to worry about money while I was on the boat. I figured that I was going to be, you know, kind of get the royalty treatment and just like all access pass everywhere. But no, I still got to be like sweetening greasing the wheels a little bit. That part kind of bugs me. I was grumpy when I found that out. But yeah, I have heard that the Disney cruises are a little nicer. Mine's a Carnival cruise, so hopefully our boat stays upright and doesn't sink, and hopefully our toilets work. You know, those are the two things that I've heard about Carnival cruise liners, is that they sink and that their toilets don't work. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine. I want the attendants to get a fair wage. I just think that the $700 ticket I paid should be better managed so that they get their pay through the ticket. Because that's $700. Where is it all going? How is $80 on top of that making the difference? Right? Yeah, you'll be super nickel and dimed. Yeah, it's starting to look like that, which, you know, it is what it is. My parents went on a cruise to Alaska. It was a Carnival cruise as well. They really liked that one. We're kind of stuck with this one for now, but because what happened was they went on that Alaskan cruise because their friends from my mom's childhood really liked their Alaskan cruise, and they had used Carnival in the past, and we don't have any experience with cruises outside of that. We've never done it. Our family legacy is only now entering a middle class enough echelon where we feel like we can afford it. In this generation, at least. So they did that one, no prior knowledge, but now you start to like do the research and it's like, oh wait, the Disney cruises seem like they're about the same price, and they're a lot nicer. Like, you don't get nickel and dimed all the time. What? We did Alaska and Royal Caribbean last summer. $6K for the cabin? Holy cow. $1K on booze and $2K on excursions. Woof. See, I'm doing the whole cruise for like less than $1,000. That's where I'm at right now. We're on the cheap boat. Maybe that's why they sink and the plumbing doesn't work. Because if you're only paying for a grand boat, or you're paying less than a grand to go on a cruise, maybe you just don't get plumbing. Maybe that's how they save money. That's crazy. $9K just on a vacation. I don't have that kind of money yet. Maybe someday. Honestly, in about 10 years, you'll be making twice your current wage in engineering or more. Fingers crossed, dude. I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now, but you know, I mean, I so my dad went through an experience where during my mission in Mexico, his the company that he was working for at the time started to go under, and they stopped being able to pay wages consecutively. So my dad was only getting a paycheck like maybe once a month, oftentimes once every 2 months. Very tight. And anytime I bring this up, people's first thought is, whoa, that's hyper illegal. Why don't you sue? It is illegal. If you sue, the guy's just going to declare bankruptcy and you don't get anything anyways. So the unfortunate part is my dad stuck it out for 2 years with that company, and those wages are basically gone. But what it taught me is that regardless of how good your current circumstances are, you are always replaceable, and your company will not prioritize you over itself. The company will always look for a way to keep itself afloat at the expense of its employees. And if you allow them to not pay you, you might just not get paid. And so you need to always be advocating for yourself. I have a very strong work ethic. I put my best into everything that I'm assigned, and I really strive to make it a representation of myself, which I want to be high quality. But I also recognize that I need to be advocating for myself, and if my current company doesn't provide those opportunities, then I would start looking at other companies as well. And it's kind of interesting the reactions you get. Some people will try to frame that as disloyalty, which is not true. I am perfectly happy to stay and work very hard as long as my talents are appreciated. And you can't really be loyal to a company that is not going to be loyal to you. So you need to make sure that it's a even exchange of effort. Otherwise, you are just going to be taken advantage of. I'm facing the same thing at my work. I'm in charge of a team of 17 right now, but on delivery of this next aircraft, we simply won't have enough work to warrant that many avionics. It's tough because... cut off. Each and every person has brought something good to my avionics team. Well, and you see a lot through in industries, like sometimes in engineering, you'll bring on a bunch of added engineers to push a milestone of a project. You see it a lot in gaming, especially. I mean, now that we're playing Star Citizen, right? You see that a ton in gaming. You need a lot more developers for the development stage of the game, but not so many for the maintenance stage of the game. The good news for employees at CIG is that this game's never going to get released, so they'll always be developing, and they'll never get to the maintaining stage, so they'll always have a job. But yeah, it is really tough for seasonal work, like, I mean, it is the reality of a lot of different fields. But it can be very stressful. I don't envy anyone in that situation. I wanted to try and tackle the Yormandi tonight. I was also looking through my investigation missions, and there's this Your Dossier Lab Sample mission. I don't know if that's how I get to the Yormandi. I'm thinking it might be. Any update on getting a Verpal to work on? Yes, actually. That's all. Just yeah. No. Let me see what the latest information in my account says. See if there's anything I can share with you there. My orders. I did order some sticks. Verpal unfortunately has declined to sponsor the project, which I get it. I'm not upset. It is just kind of unfortunate because it does mean a pretty significant investment on my side. So please, by all means, like, share, comment, subscribe. Do whatever you can to get this stream and videos in front of as many people as we can, because I can't afford to do this. And if you do have the economic means to do so, hey, Orbital Bombardiers and above get a mention in each and every stream and video that I do. So your financial support directly helps the channel. Thank you very much, John Best and the Prime, for being such chads. But yeah, it is very expensive. I did pay full price. They were ordered on October 11th. So day of CitizenCon, they had a small discount. I was able to take advantage of that. But it doesn't look like there's any other updates here. At the time of ordering, it was saying that it is a 9-week back order. I mentioned last stream that might make it very tough to actually hit our end of the year mark. I'm hoping that we can do it. That's why I'm trying to get started on the VKB, because I'm hoping that anything learned on the VKB will translate over to the Verpal. I mean, they're both triggers. They both have a pivot point. I'm hoping that it will be as simple as changing some parameters to be able to get it to work, but I really just don't know. I'm trying to get as much work done in the hope that that is the case. So, but yeah, they are on order. Hopefully they will get here.
Okay, hope you're ready to tackle this one. Just keep your head down and you should be able to get it sorted.
Alright, and I think I joined on Will's, so I'm gonna send an invite in the hopes that he's available. Yeah, it's hard because I know each and every one of them has their own worries and ambitions. It's so hard to separate from that because in the end, that's the sad reality of business. Yeah, seasonal work is tough, man. I want to avoid it as much as I can. I want to go. I want to go kill a worm. Wills, you game? I think I've dropped off a parallax rifle here. Yes, I did. And some ammo. I think we need a bit more than that. And I want to use an LMG over a submachine gun. So let's strip out these magazines. Yormandi, man. Yeah, let's go kill one. We can do it as a two-man, right? It's not that bad. One day I will invest in my PC and be able to play SC again. I haven't played regularly since 3.8. Wow, that's been a long time, man. The unfortunate part is, like, I wish I could say that there was a set point to look at for investing into a PC for Star Citizen. Even though my system is considered aging at this point, I'm still rocking a 5800 X3D and a 3080 Ti. And the performance is not stellar. It's not amazing. Oh, that's right. This place doesn't have, like, any weapons being sold. So, let's see. Wait, where am I? Wants me to take it to Everest Harbor. No, maybe it doesn't really care where I'm taking it. Just nowhere near... What is up with this mission? Where is it trying to take me? Okay, I'm going to drop this one. I don't think it's tracking correctly. But I am going to...
Wouldn't be the first wannabe investigator who couldn't hack it, and you won't be the last.
Okay, a little passive-aggressive there, Arkin. I mean, I've helped you out on a lot of other missions. Doesn't that count for something? But what I was saying about PC performance, I mean, like, in other games, I get great frames. It's gotten better in Star Citizen, but it's still not amazing. Where's this one located? It says it's destroyed. I guess I'll claim it. This is still my fastest ship, so go ahead and get this one out. Still running an RTX 2070. I'll be honest, I was kind of glad that I did not invest in the 20 series. A lot of that felt kind of bait and switchy with NVIDIA. And I'm getting very similar vibes from the current generation, the 50 series. Because so much of the performance depends on frame gen and these AI features. With the 20 series, though, they were really banking on the RTX aspect of it. But the technology wasn't there yet. It was very much early adopter. And so I think a lot of people ended up being disappointed with the RTX performance. but is what it is, you know? I built my PC during COVID. The 30 series was sold out for over a year. I remember those times. Those were not good. I paid too much for my 30 series. I donated my previous PC to my family to use as like a homework machine, because in my head it's like the 30 series is coming out next month, right? Like I've already got the majority of the PC built. I just need to put a graphics card in it and I'll be Gucci. That didn't happen. It was very difficult to get a 30 series for a very long time, and I ended up paying a scalper for one, which I am very ashamed to say I contributed to the problem. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. I'm Taylor Swift. I'm the problem. I contributed to the scalping industry. But I really, really bad decision. I kind of just put myself out of a computer. And then I needed to get something working. But it all worked out in the end. It's been a very good setup. Okay, let's meet up at Everest Harbor then. In the meantime, let's try and figure out how we actually find and kill this thing. I know you want the parallax rifle. Like, that activates a debuff on it. Da, da, da. I mean, is it just go down to the Site B area? And do I even need the mission? Or is there even a mission? This one says full guide.
It's Rocket. Check out our video,
thanks Rocket. You probably DMCA'd my video. Hate ads like that.
Onyx Site B.
Well, answer this for me, Wills. Do I need any kind of mission, or do we just walk there? Infiltrate ASD site and destroy servers. Oh. I haven't seen that mission before. Oh, okay, so just something to, like, find it then. Alrighty, I can do that.
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system. Your vehicle has been delivered phase visitors ago.
Goodbye, Hanger. Ain't that ship a beaut? I really do like the Zeus. Someone should get around to making a Mark II version of the Constellation. Like, that ship really needs to be updated. be really cool if someone made like a 100th scale model with like a bunch of play features and LEDs on the inside, a nice looking paint job. That'd be pretty cool. Someone should get around to doing that. I should have set my route first. If Hybrid V could see me, he would be so upset. But here we go. I can at least do the stay moving part. I don't need to like do the flight stutter. Wish Toby would sponsor me. I really like their product. Not sponsored, but Toby Eye Tracker, I think, is definitely worth the money. If I could go back and do it again, I would get the Toby before sticks. And just because the utility of the Toby is really high, where sticks are mostly for the immersion. But this ship isn't a very good example because the MFDs are both visible, but there's a number of ships where you do have to kind of like look around to get a proper feel for your ship status. And being able to just do that easily without having to like hold F and then look over. Very, very nice. Very nice. And of course it lost my route. That's been a fun one. Thank you, CIG. I suppose get around to fixing that whenever you can. There we go. There's Everest. A little bit of desync, I think, there, causing the speed to drop out a little bit. go. One of my better landings. Magnetic joystick mounts, still the coolest solution ever. Highly recommend them. Those were custom built by Monster Tech. If you reference my channel, they will help you get a set of your own. Yeah, definitely the fastest solution for transitioning between keyboard and mouse to dual stick. Super cool. Also use code OddJob at checkout for 5% off. I don't know if that code is still active. I should check on that. But at least at one point, code OddJob would get you 5% off. Take off the helmet. All right, let's inhale a burrito. Let's not even chew that thing, dude. Come on. Oh, that is just such a scary thought. What kind of monstrosity for a digestive system do our characters have? It's not letting me throw it. Ah, it broke. There we go. Yeah, that went where I wanted it to. Maybe a little more distance. There. Close enough. Let's get ourselves some ammo. Oh, wrong button again. I always get lost in these places. I want to buy bullets. Where can I buy bullets? Okay. We need some parallax ammo. Wait. But I want to buy them directly into my backpack because I don't want to have to deal with the terminal. Buy a bunch of those. And then I want to get ammo for the FS9 on my back. It's probably a good amount. Oh, and I want to get an optic for this as well. guess this patch has the new weapons, doesn't it? Just saw something for the Pulverizer LMG. Alright, and my plan is I'm going to use the FS9 for everything until we get to the worm fight. And then I'll pull out the Parallax for that. LMGs are pretty versatile in Star Citizen, so I think that should be a okay loadout. I might even be able to get a suppressor for this. Let's see. Where was that store? And then the NPCs won't bother me as much. No. They don't have the size 2. That's right. Size 2 is always the one that's hard to find. You have to, like, loot it. Alright, well, I'm going to take a brief pause so that I can use the restroom. And then when I get back, we will start heading over to the snake fight. Right back. All right. I shouldn't really pick up the mission. All right. Thanks for hanging out, Morris. You could always just leave your video player on in the background. I won't complain. But have a good night. But I suppose it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to accept the mission until Wills is here. Should probably hop into Discord channel. Oh, a little Halloween. That's cute. And let's see. Schlag said that he sent me the details of this tool that he was talking about. So this is the assembly. Looks pretty complex. The only difference between this and the setup that broke the clevis is the older version was mounted on a scissor lift. This one... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Discord doing Discord things. Okay. Close that. Relaunch it. Okay, let's try that again. After hooking it all up, you turn on the hydraulics to hold the flight control in position. Then use a worm gear to slowly increase upward and downward pressure a few hundred pounds each way for push-pull to see how much free play was in the elevator. Okay, so yeah, checking backlash. He did say that. If it exceeds a certain amount, it can lead to flutter, which can literally shake the plane apart. Okay. Yeah, I would guess then that there's like a resonant frequency that it hits, right? So it starts to just bounce rapidly up and down. And that's a lot to go onto an airplane wing. I mean, these things help you steer the entire plane, right? Problem is our base was a scissor lift with a bar mounted to a load cell which had a worm gear that drove that clevis up and down to apply the compression and tension. Thing is, engineers kept yelling we weren't keeping the tools straight, but think of it, the flight control moves with the pressure, the airplane moves with the pressure, the scissor lift moves slightly with the pressure, then all of a sudden your nice up-down gear is slightly off-center, while under a few hundred pounds of pressure, up and down 3 to 5 times for each flight control. 2 ailerons, 2 elevators, 1 rudder, and I'm talking 300 pounds of force up and down. Engineer then told me metal doesn't fatigue, and it was our fault for the tool failure, despite this being our only tool for 4 aircraft with near daily use for flight test. Huh. First tool had a small hand wheel, but it was too jerky, so they made an adapter for a drill, which wore out our drills too quickly. Oh no. Okay, so this is what they're trying to do. Sorry, engineers, I can't say I'm on your side with this one. I think Schlag's right. This seems terribly unbalanced. Alright, so let's get a look at this again. Okay, there's the drill connected to its adapter. Yeah, come on. That's too small a motor to drive it anything this big. This is... First off, this is not anything like an impact wrench, which would be better suited because of the power. Is this literally smoking? Is that what you... It's smoking. Oh, that's terrible. And Discord is broken again. It's such a bad design that it's breaking Discord. Okay, I think this is what he was saying bent. Threaded rod bends actually pretty easily. It's not that tough. Oh yeah, that's totally skewed. Oh jeez. Huh. that's funny. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good design in my mind. Oh goodness, did Discord crash again? Okay, one more time. We're gonna open Discord, and then we're just gonna go to the voice chat, and then we're gonna leave it. Because apparently Discord does not want to do much today. Hello! And I can't hear Will's. Do I have... Okay, try and talk again, Wills. Nope, I see that you're talking. I'm just not hearing you. Mic check, mic check. Okay, so I'm hearing myself on the correct input. But I am not hearing you, compadre. I'm pretty sure I turned the volume back up for Discord. Yep, that's all. It's all good. Okay, now we are not getting... I'm moving my mouse. Okay, there we go. Let's just change this to party mode.
Hello.
Oh,
I just got back.
Okay, there you are. I was worried my sound settings weren't working.
No, it was just me.
Okay, all right, great. I'm at Everest.
So am I.
Okay, all right. I will just join you. Are you in your hangar?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'll just join you there then. Come on. All right, we're taking a Connie today. You know, someone should really get around to like doing a Mark II of this. Alrighty. And then the the eyes and the teeth are what's valuable, right? But those are just for like Wicklow trades.
Yeah. The Wicklow binoculars.
Okay. All right, let's see. I'm gonna move Discord to my secondary. All right, all set.
Okay.
Do you want me to accept the mission, or I mean, you're the one piloting, so.
Yeah. I'm already on the way
All right,
to
awesome.
the mission location.
Cool. So Schlog, with that assembly that you sent the picture of, does it just have like an indicator along the rod that tells you how much the aileron has moved? Is that how it works? Like, literally just kind of a ruler attached to the actuator? And, like, it looks like there's kind of like a giant ball screw in one of those pictures. Is that the actuator? Like, that whole thing has to spin up? That just seems like a lot of mass to be moving with such a small drill motor. The RSI camper van with luxury upgrades. Oh, is this the Phoenix?
It might be.
Oh. Such an odd ship for me. Like,
It really is.
this part especially, this atrocious border between the nice walnut flooring and this just awful purple marble. Ugh. And I love both marble and walnut, but this combination, this came straight from hell. It is still a fun ship, though. I do really like the ASD music. What is that sound? Is that something you're doing, Wills?
No.
Is that something you're doing, Wills? That's definitely something you're doing. Ah, were you just like spinning up the guns over and over?
Yeah.
It's just like, what is going on? Alright, you got me with that one. You got me. So you ready to basically one-man this, Wills?
Nope. You need to take aggro of one of them yourself. That's the only way to do it, is one person each takes an aggro from one worm each.
Okay, well, I better get my gamer glove on then. Can't let the sweaty palms get us killed. Palms are sweaty, mom spaghetti.
Come over here.
Snake upsetty.
Secret entrance.
Secret tunnel. Through the mountain. Secret, 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 secret tunnel. I would say change my mind that Avatar: The Last Airbender was better than Legend of Korra, but there's no way you could change my mind. It just is the truth.
Yeah. Korra just did not hit the mark.
No. Are we still... I guess we're still technically... Oh, I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. That was naughty, Wills. I'm live on stream. You can't be doing stuff like that. You can get me banned.
If anything, it will get me a 2-month CIG suspension. If that. But it's not like it's totally game breaking.
Oh, geez. We're already here. All right. And then...
And someone put a C8R in there. That's fun.
Oh, yeah. That's convenient. So we could just set spawn in that? And, no?
It's getting deleted.
Oh, you're gonna delete
It's
it?
not supposed to be there. Yeah.
I mean, we want to maintain the integrity of the experience, right? So
Yes.
we have to
And
get rid of it. I kind of wanted to use it.
No.
Okay, pretty intense boss music. That cut out suddenly.
Oh, you're still alive? There we go.
Okay. It's gone now, Wills. Now if we die, we just die. Congratulations.
As God intended. Do you want to flick the lever?
I feel like this is inevitably a wrong lever Kronk situation because giant snakes come out of the ground.
Correct. Wrong lever, Crunk.
Oh. Oh, snap. I should have changed my loadout. I was not prepared. Alright. You shoot the glowy bits, right?
Yeah.
Come on. Show me your special parts. Oh shoot! There's another one! Okay, I was able to tank one. I think I just got lucky. Oh.
There's one down.
Oh shoot! I'm down. I don't know what exactly got me. Hurry, Wells! 10 seconds. What a stud. I don't know how you do it.
I thought that one already dead.
I thought so too.
It did the dead screen and everything.
Ow! Oh shoot! Okay, that one's upset. Doing something.
One is officially dead this time.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Oh, that's why. My tier 2 arm injury got upgraded to a tier 1 arm injury.
Nice, nice. I mean,
No, I'm down.
you said you're down?
Yeah, I'm in caps.
Do the thing! Breathe, dang it! Did I get you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Oh.
Oh, so that's the stun animation.
He's not a fan of that. Come on, die. Die? Not die.
Nope. I got incapped again. It did a longer beam on me.
I'm coming! Breathe!
There we go, it's dead again.
All right. Easy. The music here is really good, indeed.
It is. I hope you liked the light show.
Yeah, the light show is really cool. This is a big tongue, but it does fit in my backpack, so that's kind of cool. Got ooh, that was a little gory, a little blood spurt animation. Oh, but they only have one eye that you can
No,
loot.
they have two. You've got a tractor beam the other one.
Oh. Oh ho ho ho. All right, sick.
You like my lollipop?
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly lolly. That should be the music for this area, right? All right, cool. So if you two-man it, everybody gets their own snake.
Oh, and nice, it actually opened up the exit.
Anything good in these loot boxes? Not
No,
really.
Just
med-
the run-of-the-mill blue boxes for red. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I can restock on those, so a little bit. Is there any good boxes down here?
Nope.
Sick. You've got the special med gun. Is that one of the subscriber ones?
No, it's one I stole from a player.
Nice.
In the way CIG envisioned being able to sneak behind a player and middle mouse button them to drop their item.
Yeah, that's been causing all kinds of issues with Tier 0 and supposedly not being able to loot things.
Yep. And apparently, there's a whole bunch of people that are threatening to want their money back.
Really?
Yep. Exactly because of this issue.
Can't you just do a character repair and get the item back?
Character repair just sends you back to your home location now. Doesn't check the ownership of your pledges anymore.
I mean, it seems a little excessive to throw in the towel for that. When we've had so much worse for so much longer.
It was a very big issue. Or
Yeah.
it still is. Like, it should not be happening in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that too, but I guess there are more expensive items than just a med pen.
Well, it has people literally just going into the contested zones in Pyro with no weapons at all, and no backpack at all. Only bringing themselves and their middle mouse button.
I mean, I think maybe don't bring your subscriber gear there, though.
That's why we've just been stocking up on like FS9s or P4s and not going in with anything at all. Besides like stuff you can buy at the station.
Because, I mean, like, before Tier 0, right, it was essentially the same rule. Don't bring your nice stuff out to play if you don't want to lose it. I mean, as long as I can remember playing, it's been, if you bring your paid items and you die, pretty good chance that you've lost your paid items. Unless you do a character reset, which wouldn't always work. So, I mean, most of the time I'd just be without my subscriber gear for either all the time or until the next patch. I don't know. I guess I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah. Lost my pledged pulverizer due to some French scammer. He asked for 3 million to give it back. I paid him the 3 million, and he did not give it back. And then he proceeded to gaslight the entire server the rest of the time, while we called him out on it.
So, sorry. I mean, come on, man. RuneScape armor gilding. That's like, it's like the classic one, dude. I mean, it sucks that you lost your pulverizer, but it's also like,
I bought another sitcom package.
Well, for the Wicklow trade, how much more do I need? Is there a good resource to like look at the trades without having to go to him?
There might be, but you only need like one Wicklow favor to get the Wicklow binos.
Okay. And the Wicklow binos are the nicer ones, right?
Yeah. They're the ones that actually work.
Ah. Where do you get the other set?
Area 18 so far, from what I know. And they don't work at all.
So you were pegging the, maybe pegging is not the right word for it, but you were hitting the snakes with the railgun the whole time, right?
Yeah.
I was aiming for the glowy bits with the parallax rifle.
I was aiming for glowy bits, but if I couldn't, I was just firing at the snake.
I mean, I have to imagine the railgun was doing most of the work there.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was helping. I actually saved your life a couple times.
Yeah. Because I'm like so out in the open to just hit them. I've got to basically put myself into the snake's mouth.
So does the railgun cause the same kind of damage that the parallax rifle or the Volt weapons do as well?
No. It does explosive.
That might be perhaps an interesting change they could make, because it is, I mean, a railgun, it is an electromagnetic kinetic kill weapon, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily explosive.
Yeah.
So that could be an interesting way of differentiating it between or against something like the rocket launchers.
Or the grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Or rocket propelled 3 grenades.
Yeah, besides just being the obviously superior version to both of them. You know, you could differentiate it differently. So this is back at Everest now then, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're saying you just need... Don't you just turn an MG script for Wicklow favors?
I don't know. Yeah, you need 50 MG script for a single favor.
Okay. Because I have a bunch down... I mean, Lorville is my home location.
Yeah.
So I think what I'd want to do then is... before ending stream is go and grab some of those and then turn them in for some binoculars.
Yep.
Well, thanks
I
for...
can just head down to Lorville.
Okay. We'll just go chill in the luxury passenger seats.
I'm pretty sure the org is doing the PIM right now. It's actually pulling an executive hangar.
Yeah, if you didn't know, Wills is part of a org called Redline. They've been featured on stream before. They offer CZ and executive hangar services. So if you want to get either of those done and you're nervous about doing it yourself, Redline's a great resource. What's the going rate for an executive hangar today?
I think it's been dropped down to 5 million or something.
Oh. Yeah, that's not bad.
But I'm not exact on those numbers.
I want to say it was like 15 when we
Yeah,
did
it
it.
was 15 before.
It's just gotten too easy for you guys. Have you noticed that there's been like a drop off in the number of people trying to do them, so it might actually be a little easier nowadays, or is that...
It's a bit easier, but at the same time it's gotten a bit more scummy at the same time.
So is it more than just improvement in organization?
The tactics to get around getting the comp boards has gotten better, but the players in the way of getting those comp boards is wild. But we can more or less do an entire CZ in like less than 5 minutes.
An entire CZ? So like,
Yeah.
Are you talking about like an individual CZ or all 7 comp boards?
An individual
Okay.
contested zone.
Well, because like in my head, maybe you had like 3 squads. Like, all right, you're in charge of getting 1 and 2. You're in charge of getting, is it 3, 4, and 7? And then you 2 are in charge of 5 and 6. You know?
Yeah.
This does have actually pretty nice windows for watching the descent.
The only other non-origin ship that actually has good windows.
Yeah. It's almost that has windows at all. We're so limited with glass real estate in Star Citizen. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have landed if you want to go and get 50 script of either kind.
Yep, heading out.
Can't wait for IAE.
Yeah, any releases you're banking on? I mean, besides the Perseus.
Getting myself a Polaris.
Don't you already have one, or?
That's the loaner for the Perseus.
Oh, so you're
I've gotten to like used to using the Polaris. It's just I need to have it.
Is there any reason not to bring just all the script with me and store it there?
Unless you plan on turning all of them into favorites, just bring 50. And if you 50, you can only usually fit like 50 in a backpack.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're pretty close to full there.
Yeah, I would recommend you taking out most of your backpack. Or if you can fit everything in, then it's fine.
I don't know what to do. I'll drop some stuff
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Consolidate some ammo. Litter that on your floor. All right, that's good.
It's fine. It's not a persistent hanger.
Yeah. Well, even when they're persistent, they're not exactly persistent, are they?
No. It's a bit of a shame, but next patch I'll only have like a large hanger.
Oh.
Because I won't be able to pledge the Polaris like fast enough.
Oh.
Because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to wait like a few weeks for it to even be able to do that. Unless the current like Polaris is still able to be purchasable during IAE full.
Is it a hull limited one?
Polaris is not, no.
Okay. Just a pricey one.
Yeah, $1,000. Practically.
Concierge with one ship, man.
Mm. I wouldn't really say it's worth that $1,000, but it's almost there. But yeah, I have two Perseuses right now, because like I know the Perseus is at least going to go up like $100 in price, which will mean I'll have like less I need to pay for the Polaris.
Just a little bit at a time, right? That's how they get you.
Yeah, pretty much. But I have one Perseus like $75 off. And it has one LTI and like 3 120-month insurances.
Oh,
And that
I'm just
pledge
remembering. Did they actually fix the Wicklow missions? There was an issue with them, right?
Yeah. They'd have fixed them, yeah.
Okay. Because I'd hate to, turn in all the parts for like I don't know, like a Scorpius, and then not get the Scorpius.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to work on a Wicklow attack, but like, to get the last materials, I would need to spend at least 50 million, because currently the Hathor sites just aren't spawning the batteries you need.
Oh, really? So no
Yeah.
pure Karenite then.
Mm-hmm. And I need 5 pure Karenite.
And those are going for 10 mil each, I'm guessing.
10 to 20.
Oof.
Yeah, and the thing is, I sold 4 pure Karenite, like, earlier this week.
So you could have gotten it if you didn't sell those
Yeah.
off.
Mm-hmm. That's the most annoying thing to me. And I even undercharged them.
Ouch. Alright, so this would actually be my first time doing a Wicklow trade.
Yeah, I gonna need to come down there with you.
No, it's none of these. It's gonna be upstairs, isn't it?
Oh, wait. First, you need to come over here and turn in the favor. Or at least get a favor. No, wait. You need to put the favors or the script into your inventory from that terminal there, and then walk over to the freight elevator.
Okay. Should probably put some more lights on this terminal, Wicklow. Come on. Trade now. Trade often. Well, aren't you special, Wills?
Yeah. You need to collect this banner.
Accept contract.
And then you need to come over to the freight elevator and pull it up.
Pull up the script and then what? Like send it back down?
Yeah, pull it up and then send it back down.
Freight elevator mechanics, so good. Up. Did it do the thing? It's saying transferring. Oh, I don't think it actually registered the button press.
Yeah, you need to wait for it to like fully transfer. Yeah, okay, now you can just send it down.
Hold on, it says that they're all on here somewhere. Do they actually show up?
They should be in the top right corner. Yeah. Yeah.
So goofy, man.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would say don't exit out of that freight manager until it's confirmed.
All right. Contract complete. Now I need to pull it up in the freight elevator. Or can I leave it in my inventory?
You can leave it in your inventory.
Okay.
You just need to call the freight elevator up.
Oh wait, so I do still need to like pull it up?
For like whenever. No wait, you can just leave it down. I'm forgetting things.
Okay.
Yeah, you just need to come over to me and then accept the contract for the
Oh,
binos.
I think it came up.
Nope. Oh well.
Ooh. It's got his face on it. Oh my gosh. This dude's so corny. So slow in the heavy armor. I'm coming.
Oh, if you think you're slow with the heavy armor and LMG, you have not felt the slowness of heavy armor and the Volt LMG.
Well, I do remember that a little bit. We tried that a couple streams ago. All right. We made it up here. Where's the binos?
Right here.
Want better eyes? You want this. Give one Wicklow favor, 2 Yormandi eyes, 1 Yormandi tongue. Add to Moby here. Alright. Now I need... Shoot, do I need to, like... It's giving me a marker, like, gigameters away, but... Do I just need to do the freight elevator?
Yeah, you need to put the favor into your inventory here. Because you're already at a location,
Yes.
it excludes that location from
Okay.
your markers.
Sure, Wills won't mind if I borrow this. Oh. Oh, just kind of popped out. That's okay. Oh shoot! I should have. Oh, dang it.
You can put it like manually on the freight elevator too.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Okay. Do I just need to have it on the ground, or do I need to, like, place
Yeah.
it?
You can have it on the ground.
So nervous. Freight elevators are so janky, I don't know what to trust. Okay, it sees them. Yay! Contract complete. Want better eyes. Mark 1 monocular rangefinder.
It should be in that freight elevator in a minute or two.
Yeah, it gives you like the little notification where you can do retrieve, and then it like auto pulls up. That's kind of cool. And then you just have to know that it's in this far corner. It's a little teeny tiny item.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! Oh, okay. I like this. So the other one doesn't actually show you the range? That's the issue?
No, it doesn't even. It gives you like a 2 times zoom at best. It doesn't even zoom in at all with the other one.
Oh, okay. And this one, it's giving me a 10x.
Mm-hmm.
Does it just max out at 1,000 meters? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Or... Maybe the shield causes issues with it? Because, like, I can ping this top edge. Right? But then if I ping past that at, like, one of the beams or something, it doesn't actually give me a proper distance there.
Yeah. It might just be that the beam is just clipping it.
Alright, well, cool. We got our we got our monocular.
The Connie elevator is just so jank every time I see it.
Yeah. Oh.
What did you do?
I don't know what I did. Okay. It, like, put it on my hip.
You can hit V to pull it out.
Uh...
Yeah. Yeah, you can just hit the letter V and it should just pull it out.
Yeah, V is in Victor, right? Okay. Alright, there we go. Oh, I think it was because the Armistice Zone.
Might have been.
Okay. Alright, that makes more sense. I was freaked out. Like, whoa! Where'd it go? Alright, well, cool.
But yeah, CIG finally posted another sneak peek of the Perseus.
Oh, yeah? If I wanted to show that real quick, where is that? Is it a roadmap roundup, or...
Yeah, it's a roadmap thing, I think. Let me check this thingy. I can forward you it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna exit the game here. But thanks for the assist, Wills.
Yeah.
We got our monocular. We killed 2 worms. We saved Will's life a couple times.
You had to get revenge life saving.
Yeah. Oh, what am I doing? Okay, October 22nd, roadmap roundup. Not seeing it there. A weekly email. I'm not subscribed to the weekly email. wheels has been covered. Here we go. Okay, so basically we're looking at the torpedo bay.
Yeah. I also sent you their official concept art of the old torpedo bay too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, still looks pretty similar. So cool. Alrighty. So yeah, I mean, IE is what next month?
Yeah.
Coming up soon.
And I think that 4.4 may release a bit sooner than that.
Well, I think we got quite a bit done this week on stream. We got a forward trigger for the VKB Gladiator NXT Evo. Good grief, they need to shorten that name up. So hopefully in 2 weeks when we do our next stream, I'll have that installed on my VKBs and we can see how that goes. We killed a couple snakes. Took their tongues, took their eyes, got ourselves a monocular. But if you want to see more content like this, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did that just turn the camera off during that? Huh. It's weird. Didn't used to do that before. And then, if you do have the means to do so, your financial contributions through the channel memberships are always appreciated. Thank you, John Best and The Prime, for all that you're doing for the channel with your financial support. But until next time, this is Odd Job Entertainment.